Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is the second custom video for Jay. Now, if you haven't seen part one, link in the description, but we know he has a 126610LN. That's the modern ceramic date sub. And in video one, we talked about his hunt, his future hunt for a 16710 pre-ceramic GMT Master 2, like what I'm wearing right here, and how he might want to go about it. Now, after I got that email, I got this email, more backstory, and a lot more decisions to make. And so here we are in part two. All right, so this comes from the second email. I'm getting married in April 2022. Congratulations, Jay. And receiving a Tudor Black Bay 58 black as a wedding present. But the surprise got spilled early as my fiance was worried I would buy one for myself. I also am fortunate enough to have a strong and solid relationship with my authorized dealer, his Rolex AD, and received the Submariner just 2 months after requesting it. The same authorized dealer has me set to receive one of the new Oyster Perpetuals this year, either the green dial or the light blue Tiffany dial as it's called, and a 126710 BLNR Batman on either the Jubilee or Oyster, whichever comes first. This is a smaller authorized dealer, so their allocations are lower, but my sales rep has even mentioned the possibility of a Daytona for me by my wedding date. Wow. Good relationship, it sounds like. All that said, I do prefer the more neo-vintage GMTs and would enjoy an aluminum bezel that would be a little under the radar in comparison to the new GMTs. My conundrum is that I have a black modern Rolex already, his Submariner, and a black Tudor coming in April. I like that the 58 is a versatile watch, and already I have a few different straps for it. My question is this: having two black watches and a black Daytona, which I guess is on the way in about a year or two, what GMT would you recommend? Do you think it's worth it to keep the new Batman or trade it for a full set 90s or 2000s pre-ceramic GMT and play around with the bezel inserts? The benefit of doing the latter would give me some extra money and a full set vintage watch. But keeping the new GMT would allow me to have a fully modern travel watch with the longer power reserve. And honestly, I really love the black and blue combo. All right, a lot of decisions to make. And if you're worried about having too many black watches, you might want to think about, and I don't know if it's already purchased yet, maybe the Tudor's already purchased, but you could always go for a blue one. But perhaps it's already stashed away somewhere just waiting for April to come so you can open it. All right, so we won't say that. But you haven't gotten the black Daytona yet, so I would mention, hey, I got a bunch of black dialed watches. What about the white Daytona? All right, so that's one way to mitigate that. But I think the real question here is the pre-ceramic 16710 or straight from the AD, the BLNR, the 126710 BLNR, and which to go for, and whether to get that BLNR and flip it and pocket the cash and then buy a full set 16710. All right, well, this is a tough question. As far as buying and flipping, be careful, all right? Be careful. You could ruin your relationship. There goes your Daytona. And look, if you want to go full psychopath on your AD and milk them for everything you can get, all right, I guess that's one way you could do it. You could get the Daytona, black, white, get a couple of those OPs, maybe a blue dial Sky Dweller, and just wring them dry until you piss them off completely and they give you the boot, and then you walk out with your arm full of Rolexes to sell for tens of thousands, and you can pay for your existing watches from doing that. And some people would say, hey, that's winning. For me, I don't know, it seems a little bit mercenary, and I would rather have that good relationship with the authorized dealer. I would rather just have a few pieces that I would want and be able to walk in there and have the potential in the future to get something that we don't even know is going to come out when it comes out. So don't burn your bridges. All right, the biggest problem, the most pressing problem in Jay's email is the 16710 pre-ceramic GMT or the ceramic BLNR, okay? Which to go for? That's the real dilemma he has to face. And look, if you have to choose, everybody's gonna have their own opinion. You know, do you go pre-ceramic? Do you go ceramic? I mean, if you have to choose one Rolex, what would you do? Well, you guys know what I would choose, but you don't have to choose, all right? It's a false dilemma. If you've got the money and you've got the connections, you don't have to choose. And Jay, you want both. And both would work beautifully in the same collection because they're different enough to justify it. Aesthetically, completely different, but they're similar enough that a lot of people would say, no, you know, you don't want to double up. Well, nonsense. I think they would work wonderfully in the same collection, and I think you should get both eventually, all right? Because if you go for the BLNR, then you're going to miss that iridescent aluminum bezel insert and being able to put a Coke on it and switching them out and that neo-vintage aesthetic. But if you go for that, 16710, you're going to miss the modern aspects of the BLNR and that blue parachrome spring and the blue 24-hour hand and the 24-click bezel, the way it plunks in there, and the modern bracelet and clasp. And they both offer different things. And so I would set your sights on having both. Now, the question is, can you afford both? And you've got to wait for your 80 to come through. And I think those are the most important pieces. You have to have money ready to pull the trigger on those pieces because, well, the second you put your money down, your $10,000 BLNR goes to, well, by Japan gray market prices, $20,000. If you get a Pepsi, $24,000. So it just jumps in price. Time's ticking, of course, with the 16710, but prices are gradually going up. You've got time. They're not going to shoot up like crazy, like the value of your BLNR the second you pay retail for it. So you've got to have the money to pull the trigger on those pieces. And relationships come into play with your AD, and people can come in and overshadow your relationship by buying more pieces. So you want to make sure you can get what is offered to you, and you don't say no because you've just bought a 16710. So I think the priority is with the more modern pieces. I would casually look for a 16710, no rush really, and look for the piece that's just so perfect, so good, so well priced, and checks off all the boxes just to the extent to where you really can't walk away. And then you can pull the trigger there. But just, again, make sure you've got money to buy these modern pieces, and if not, borrow it from someone, seriously, okay? Now, prices on the 16710, here in Japan they've stagnated because there's not a lot of watch shopping going on and tourists aren't coming in, but that's going to change. And once Japan opens up, tourists from Korea and China, other parts of Asia, other parts of the world are going to come and they're going to do their watch shopping. Those prices are going to shoot up. So now's a good time to maybe look at some pieces coming out of Japan, all right? Now, if you have to ask me, which would you choose? I mean, Austin, I can't have both. I got to choose. I'm getting married in April 2022. My wife, she said no. She's already putting her thumb down and she's making me choose. Well, I can't choose for you. I could just say which I would go for. And I like the versatility of these 5 digits. I like the aesthetic. I like the personality and the characteristic. They are not so overt as the modern pieces. And I think they're a little bit more humble and a little bit more, I don't know, average man than those over-the-top pieces. And so, you know, I don't feel like a twat wearing this. And I'm not sure that I would feel as comfortable wearing a shiny, blingy BLNR, all right? So that's the way I would go. But other people, a BLNR is like, that's not, you know, I think they tell themselves, people don't notice that, man, that's really under the radar. I guess, I mean, if you're used to rainbow Daytonas and two-tone watches, yeah, I mean, I guess putting on a BLNR would be like really low key. I guess it's whatever you're used to. But for me, that's one thing that I really appreciate. I just don't feel embarrassed or you know, I have issues obviously with Rolex and the expense of these watches and what wearing a Rolex projects. Okay, I don't think it's really that positive, and the whole idea of being a braggart or saying look what I have or look at me, I hate that. So it's kind of interesting. I'm into Rolexes, period, because that's such an aspect of it, but I think it's more of an aspect with the more modern pieces. But for you, if I were in your situation, I would continue on with that relationship with the authorized dealer, and I would foster that, and I would look to get the BLNR first. Okay, I think that's a priority, and so that would drive my decision, maintaining that relationship and getting that watch while you can. And there you go, viewers. Help Jay out. Jay, thank you for your custom video request. I hope this helped. Shoot me an email if you have some follow-up questions. Have a good wedding 2022. Enjoy this forthcoming Tudor and enjoy all these modern pieces that seem to be on the way. You seem to have an incredible potential collection lined up for the future in 10 years. Wow, Jay's going to be hitting the big time. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time.